Yep, I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut that because I shouldn't have asked you that question.
No, because I got no clue.
Hey, going Constructing Art podcast followers. I'm Kenny. This over here, there he is. That's Josh. We've just had a break. We just grabbed a couple of coffees. And now we're going to talk to you about, well, it's episode 9 of the Constructing Art podcast. We're talking about re-roofs. And all you need to know from before you get the re-roof to after you get the re-roof and once it's all finished. Here we go. Looking to take your construction business to the next level? At Primal Agency, you're partnering with experts that know your business. And that's half the battle. As Australia's most trusted construction marketing team, these guys are all about evolving your business. If you're looking to scale, talk to the crew at Primal today or check out primalagency.com.au.
And we're off at the races.
There we go. Welcome back, Josh.
Yeah, welcome back, Kenny. Good to see you.
Yeah, so we've just gone and got our Office Works coffee.
Victoria coffee.
Victoria. Oh, it's not the organic one. The organic one's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
But this is...
That's when we used to get it, when we had the coffee machine at the office.
Yes.
When we had an office still.
When we had an office. Yeah, so the good news, that's right, well, the office is being built. They've sent us back our deposit and they're asking for a new one that's at a higher amount. So
good on them.
Yeah, but it's happening. Excited, very excited. So today we're going to be talking about...
navigating the minefields of re-roofs.
Yeah, so it's a pretty straightforward thing, a re-roof, but it can be really complex and a lot might need to go into it.
Yes.
But before we do that, do you guys know how to get one of these hats? Stay around to the end of this podcast and you'll find out. It's one of the MyCladders hats. It's got Colorbond on it. It's got Constructing Art. It's got Constructing Art on the back. And so I'll just sit them here for you guys to see and want, and you'll find out at the end of the podcast how you can get yourself one of those. All right.
Yeah. So the first things to consider when you're re-roofing your house. Well, what have you already got?
Yeah. Well, that's firstly why you're re-roofing the house. What do you reckon? We start with that.
Yeah. Is it leaking? Do you have holes in it? Do you have a hailstorm?
The big old hailstorm.
Is it leaking? Well, I think I already said that. Leaking. Do you just you know what? I really don't love those tiles anymore. I want a Colorbond corrugated iron roof.
Yeah. Or it's an old roof. It might not be leaking. I just want a new roof. I want to upgrade and to paint the old one. Or I'm getting solar panels. And I'd rather put a new roof on now and then put solar panels on.
Yes.
So there's lots of reasons for why people would re-roof a house. And it's not always necessary. So the challenge is, when you get a phone call, Josh, and the phone call is, I want a re-roof, or we get inquiries through the website, I want a re-roof, and the first question you ask is,
can you go to council and get me a set of plans?
That's not what I was aiming for.
No.
I was aiming for, what type of roof is it?
Yeah, what type of roof you already got. All right, it's a tile roof. You need to engage a builder.
And why, Josh, do we need to?
Because there's a lot of upgrading that needs to happen to the frame in order for the new roof, corrugated iron roof, to go on, because tiles are obviously heavier than tin.
Which is, it acts as a tie down. Mm-hmm. So basically, it also depends on where you are in the country.
Yeah, so in Queensland.
So definitely in Queensland, because it's cyclonic and we have wind. Where I don't think people in Melbourne actually understand the type of wind we have. They get wind. Oh, it's cold wind.
Yeah.
However, the reason with a metal tile roof, if a tile roof's coming off, the reason we say you need to engage a builder is because you need to tie down that roof structure, the framing of the roof structure, to the frame below it. Mm-hmm. And it's very, very rarely ever simple.
No.
So we're not licensed to do it.
No, and it's another thing, you need to engage an engineer. You can't just go, hey, I'm just going to put some bracing strap across here and I'm going to just tie down this truss here and that truss there. It's like, you need to know exactly where it needs to go, and that's what the engineer needs to do.
Well, even a builder, even if a builder is engaged, that builder is going to be getting an engineer to find out where they need to do the tie down. Hence, the set of plans that you need. Right?
Yes, well, in order to get the engineering, in order to get the certification to replace and change everything, to get it through council, you need to have the set of plans
Yep.
to go through all that sort of stuff.
So you've got sorry, Karen.
The other reason that it's more beneficial to engage a builder is once the tiles come off, what's the structure like underneath? If the structure is not really like, you've got an old house.
So old houses, the actual structure can warp. It can bow. A lot of the time, the battens that are on there are only like a 32 by 19 mil timber pine batten, sometimes hardwood. That was only there to ever support
The tiles.
the tiles. Those battens can't be used for putting a metal roof on.
No.
In regard to replacing a roof, you can get a roofer to come in and you can pull the tile roofs off. They can put new metal battens on and they can put the insulation down. They can put new Colorbond roof on there, ridge caps, make it all pretty. And it might be okay. However, what are the implications from that? A, you can't get council approval. We're not going to do that, by the way. We won't do it without council approval.
Yes.
So you don't get council approval where you need it. And what happens if you don't get council approval? If you have an insurance claim on your house, insurance will be voided. And that record will be there. So your insurance company will turn up. And this is whether or not you change the insurance company. This comes to if you sell the house to someone else, that person buys the house and they've got a Colorbond roof on there. Mm-hmm. If they do an inspection to see what work's been done and you've said, hey, we'll put a brand new roof on, they turn around and like, oh, in the things it hasn't showed any actual work's been submitted to council. Have you got approval for that roof? In the photos on Google Earth, it shows a tile roof. Right? Yeah. To retrofit, to get a after the fact approval is very difficult on that, and it can be very, very costly.
Because like we said before about tie downs, like if the roofer just slaps on new battens and doesn't tie down the existing frame to the existing trusses, then you're gonna have to rip the whole thing off and do it all over again, and it's just.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you're looking at that, and so you're looking at either yourself not being able to claim on insurance in the future, and that's all the damage that was. So you get a hailstorm come through, and you get water come into your house. All the damage from any of that, it could be avoided. Now here's the next kicker: if your house is flooded, and you have not said anything about that roof, your house is voided. You've got the chance of voiding your insurance 100%. So you may as well not pay for insurance. That is the worst case scenario for insurance. The actual worst case scenario is that roof blows off and takes your entire structure with you and kills people.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
that's the reason why the tie down. So the idea of tie down is to stop that. So if you look back at, and I know we're going over onto other things, but the purpose of the story is talking and letting you guys know about re-roofs and where the tile re-roof. So if you look back in history at cyclones from the 80s, 90s, and you'd see roof sheets and everything flying through the air, suburbs away, and they'll just be flying everywhere. That's because the tie down wasn't done to the state that it is now. That what the houses are designed to do in a cyclone is flatten. So instead of the roof flying off into areas, the whole house just goes bang, and it minimizes collateral damage. Yeah. So that's ripping power lines. That's because roof sheets flying. That's like a buttload of knives going.
That's dangerous.
This is the reason for tie down. So that's tile roofs. So essentially, if you've got a tile roof, you can change it.
Yeah, there's just a few extra little steps. Because regardless of what, even if you're changing a Colorbond roof to a Colorbond roof because it's old and whatever, we still have the frame still needs to be upgraded because code when it was originally done does not meet code today.
Yeah. So what the ruling there, 80-20 rule, if you're doing more than 20% of the roof structure, if you're modifying, replacing, rectifying, upgrading more than 20% of the roof structure or of the roof, that requires council approval, and that requires you to upgrade it to the current code. Yep. So that's tile roofs, and the same thing actually applies for metal roofs. So that's what you're getting onto. So now you've got a Colorbond roof, or an old Zincalume or an old Gal roof, and you're wanting to upgrade it and replace it. Let's use all the situations will be the same. The old roof has to come off. New code is that we actually have to replace all the perimeter battens. If it's a brand new roof, we're replacing all the perimeter battens.
Yes.
The central battens can remain.
As long as sheeting is offset.
Yeah.
So that the new screws don't fall within, I think it's like a screw width of the next one. So most people just move.
You move the
offset.
sheet across 30 mil, don't you?
Offset the sheet, yeah.
So there's certain things that need to be done because there's engineering involved with the re-roof as well. We just don't need to go through a builder because it's only related to the roof structure. So what needs to be done on a re-roof? So if it's a new home, if it's a house that's the frame and everything has been built to the code that currently is there, then no extra tie down needs to be done. It's just a matter of changing the battens.
Yep.
And that's basically the only reason you'll be doing that is a hailstorm. Or a tree's fallen through your roof or some major issue.
So Kenny, what happens if we're replacing an old school roof that's got hardwood battens and old gal sheeting?
So there's a couple of different approaches that you can take. One of those is the old hardwood battens are brilliant. They're really good and you can reuse them because there's nothing wrong with those. However, you don't know the condition of those until you've pulled the roof off. So what we've done as a business is we've moved to the point of we just install all brand new battens because we know that those battens are going to meet code.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be issues. There's not going to be water rotted parts. We're not going to have to cut and replace certain sections. So that enables us to meet code. The other thing that needs to happen is the top plate, which is the highest most timber on your wall, which the trusses or the rafters sit on, the roof trusses, roof rafters, they sit on the top plate. What we need to do is we strap with, we call it speed strap. It's just basically metal bracing from the rafter, from the top plate over the rafter or over the truss back down to the top plate, and we screw that in with batten screws. Alternatively, you can use a triple grip and you can tie that down. Basically, each and every individual rafter needs to be tied down to the top plate. Also, the hips need to be wrapped as well. They need to be tied in because all roofs used to be just a couple of 4-inch nails holding that rafter into that rafter, the hip rafter. So those get tied off as well. And that's basically it. And that generally will cover all engineering. So some certifiers will require they all require photos. Some of them want to come out.
If you've got that, then a lot of the time photo evidence will be enough.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure that everyone takes photos of everything when they're doing it and it's not done after the fact because then it's a nightmare.
So either the certifier is going to come out and see it with their own eyes and see, okay, yeah, you've done that. Or you take photos of the progress
as you go. Before,
after, here's the completed finished product. And you submit them as part of the council submission. They go in with the for council approval from the certifier, along with a Form 43.
Yes.
And that's signed by the roofing company. So that tie down is the difference. Other than that, it's basically pulling the roof off and putting the roof back on. So you can change that roof to any profile that you want.
Correct.
As long as it meets code. So if you've got a 4-degree pitch roof and it had if you've got a 4-degree pitch roof and it has a corrugated iron roof on it now before you replace it, what can you replace it with?
Trim deck, clip lock, long span.
Or Highland tray if you really...
Or if you want to go super fancy, yeah. Highland tray.
So just because it had corrugated iron before, the same rule applies with the bringing things up to code.
Yeah. Like you need to make sure that the sheeting that you're replacing, regardless of what was on there before, meets current code and current manufacturer's recommendations. So if it's under 5 degrees, it can't be corrugated, even if it was there before.
Yep. And if you want to know more about that, episode 2, I think it is,
Episode 3.
Episode 3. This is why he does all that. So episode 3 is we talk about roofing profiles and what they're good for, what type of pitches, etc. So that's pretty much the re-roof. So the experience. So the owner's the client's experience. So you own a home and you now want to upgrade your roof. One of the things that we missed though, just a moment back, was if you want if you're putting solar panels on.
Yes.
So quite often, people are going to go and load their roof up with solar panels. The solar panel guy comes to measure it out and say, oh, you can put 300 solar panels. I'm joking. If you could put 25 solar panels on your roof, however, they might go, well, your roof needs some attention. You've got some rust or you've got this or that, and we recommend you replace that before putting the roof on. It's at that point you'll engage. So either you know your roof is stuffed and you're going to get a re-roof before you put your solar panels on, or you're like, oh no, my roof is not good and now I need to get an opinion from a roofer of what I should do. So I have two opinions. One is you need to have a look at the roof and look at it properly to see what the longevity of the roof is. So if you're going to get another 10 years out of the roof that's up there and you shouldn't have any problems with some maybe minor little rectification works, you're putting solar panels on and say you're going to pay 10 grand for some solar panels. You'll pay to have those solar panels pulled off $1,000 to have someone come pull them off and put them back on again. So if you were to re-roof that house in 10 years, you'll pay that $1,000 plus whatever inflation brings that amount to.
Yeah.
If you weren't expecting to put a new roof on and it weren't budgeted for it and you don't really have the budget for it and you have a roofer come out and say, look, it's going to take you you've got 10 years. The roof's not that bad. We can patch it up and you'll be fine. Then essentially that's a win. If you have to replace that roof or you go, oh, I should just replace it now, expect that you're going to be paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on replacing your roof. So you got your $10,000 solar panels that you're putting on and you go, so why are you putting solar panels on? To save energy, right? You want to have a lower power bill. So you go, okay, $10,000 solar panels. Oh, it's going to be $45,000 for me to put a new roof on. But it's not that bad. If it's bad, then you need to put a new roof on, right? Yeah. That's as simple. And the bank will loan you money. If you don't have the budget, the bank will loan you money against your mortgage to put a new roof on. That's basically that. So the process of a new roof is you inquire for a new roof. Almost every roofing company at the moment will be giving you a estimate based off Google Earth because no one can get anywhere. Or either that or someone will come out and check measure the roof, fly a drone over the top, get some photos, get more images. You'll get the estimate. If you get the estimate and go, yes, we want to proceed, then we come out at check measure time. We make sure that everything is right and that the measurements are right, that we haven't been steered in the wrong direction from Google. There's not anything that we don't know about. We then solidify the price. It'll either come down or it'll go up depending on what we find. At that point, then we lock you in for when we're going to do the project. Actually, we may have even locked you in previously if you'd already said, yeah, we want to go ahead. So at that point, then we check measure, we get the material delivered to the site, you get the edge protection goes up, the guys come to site, pull the roof off, the roof gets stored on site and either we remove it from site, you choose that you want to keep that roofing, or we have someone come and collect that. They're the options. We then, the new roof goes on and it will be done in stages. Some companies, they've got gangs of 10 guys that go out there and just rip a roof off and put a new roof on in a day, and it's amazing. I take my hat off to all of those guys. Actually here, I'm going to take my hat off to those guys because, I haven't seen the quality of them, but wow, they're really
getting it done.
They're getting it done. So
otherwise, a
couple of days doing the roof, depending on the complexities.
And depending on the weather.
Yeah, and quite often people want the roofs replaced in summer, where in Queensland it's raining or has rainy afternoons.
Yeah,
so,
which is that's when you either need a gang of 10 guys to just rip the whole thing on and put it off, take it off, put it back on, or you take it off in stages and keep the existing roof on and just move slowly through it to get it done.
Yeah. And then once it's finished, it's cleaned up. The owner,
which is a lot more efficient than renting a tarp.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's really quite a simple, straightforward thing. As long as you get your ducks in a row with your engineering, your certification, and making sure that those things are done properly. Other than that, in doing a roof replacement, it's while you're doing that, if you want to get things like skylights, whirlybirds, other things put in. Yeah. Then it's a really good time to do that rather than getting them done later. So if you're wanting to put insulation and upgrade, so currently a lot of roofs won't have insulation anti-con on the roof. And so if you listen to the roofing podcast that we did, episode 6.
Yeah, common.
Yeah, we talk about anti-con in
Yeah.
the Anticon and go into more detail about that, so that you know like whether you get it or not. And we're advocates completely that no roof should not have it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that's basically the thing.
Yeah,
if you have
that's
any questions, guys, shoot them in the comments. And if it turns into a podcast,
you
get one of these. There you go.
Win one of our lovely hats.
So, and we'd like to thank Primal for sponsoring this video. They do a great job with all of our marketing. Go and have a look at our website and see what you think. And if you've got any feedback on that, let us know, because they're the guys that have put it all together. All right.
So with that,
on the next one. What is the next one, Josh?
Next one, that old chestnut, oil canning.
Oil canning.
All right, folks. We'll see you next time.
Oil canning.